Today is February 3rd. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 and 12. First of all, like I said yesterday, I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is a rigorously honest confession here. I basically have been building the plane while flying it with this whole podcast, and I thought I had done my math correctly, but I guess I haven't. So I've been jumping a little bit ahead of the gun with our recording. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to slow down the pace a little bit, where instead of reading 5 to 6 pages a day of the big book, we'll probably be reading 2 to 3 max, and at least just 1 page of D12 and 12 each day to kind of stay on pace. Because again, my goal is to finish both books by the beginning of July. And then possibly start all over again and just kind of keep that cycle going. So the only way to do that is to slow down, or I'm going to finish way too early. I guess my bigger goal is to finish both books twice within a year. So I hope you guys will bear with me as we do that. So today we are going to be reading chapter 9 of the big book, The Family Afterward, pages 130 through 132. And we're going to be reading page 61 in step 5 of the 12 and 12. So with that, let's get to the big book. Page 130. Those of us who have spent much time in the world of spiritual make-believe have eventually seen the childishness of it. This dream would have been replaced by a great sense of purpose, accompanied by a growing consciousness of the power of God in our lives. We have come to believe that He would like us to keep our heads in the clouds with Him, but that our feet ought to be firmly planted on earth. That is where our fellow travelers are. And that is where our work must be done. These are the realities for us. We have found nothing incompatible between a powerful spiritual experience and a life of sane and happy usefulness. One more suggestion. Whether the family has spiritual convictions or not, they may do well to examine the principles by which the alcoholic member is trying to live. They can hardly fail to approve these simple principles, though the head of the house still fails someone in practicing them. Nothing will help the man who is off on a spiritual tangent so much as a wife who adopts a sane spiritual program, making a better practical use of it. There will be other profound changes in the household. Liquor incapacitated father for so many years that mother became the head of the house. She met these responsibilities gallantly. By force of circumstances, she was often obliged to treat father as a sick or wayward child. Even when he wanted to assert himself, he couldn't, for his drinking placed him constantly in the wrong. Mother made all the plans and gave directions. When sober, father usually obeyed. Thus mother, through no fault of her own, became accustomed to wearing the family trousers. Father, coming suddenly to life again, often begins to assert himself. This means trouble, unless the family watches for these tendencies in each other and comes to a friendly agreement about them. Drinking isolates most homes from the outside world. Father may have laid aside for years all normal activities, clubs, civic duties, sports. When he renews interest in such things, a feeling of jealousy may arise. The family may feel they hold a mortgage on Dad, so big that no equity should be left for outsiders. Instead of developing new channels of activity for themselves, mother and children demand that he stay home and make up for that deficiency. At the very beginning, the couple ought to frankly face the fact that each will have to yield here and there if the family is going to play an effective part in the new life. Father will necessarily spend much time with other alcoholics, but this activity should be balanced. New acquaintances who know nothing of alcoholism might be made in thoughtful consideration given their needs. The problem of community might engage attention. Though the family has no religious connections, they may wish to make contact with or to take membership in a religious body. Alcoholics who have derided religious people will be held by such contacts. Being possessed of a spiritual experience, the alcoholic will find that he has much in common with these people, though he may differ with them on many other matters. Alright guys, we will stop there today in the big book. Now we'll jump into the 12 and 12. Alright my friends, just a little reminder, we are in step 5 and we were talking about confiding in the right person and whether or not we're going to tell them everything. Page 61. Perhaps, though, your relation to him is such that you would care to reveal only a part of your story. If this is the situation, by all means do so, for you ought to make a beginning as soon as you can. It may turn out, however, that you'll choose someone else for the more difficult and deeper revelations. This individual may be entirely outside of AA. For example, you're a clergyman or your doctor. For some of us, a complete stranger may prove the best bet. The real tests of the situation are your own willingness to confide and your full confidence in the one with whom you share your first accurate self-survey. Even when you've found the person, it frequently takes great resolution to approach him or her. No one ought to say that the AA program requires no willpower. Here is one place you may require all you've got. Happily, though, the chances are that you will be in for a very pleasant surprise. When your mission is carefully explained, and it is seen by the recipient of your confidence how helpful he can really be, the conversation will start easily and will soon become eager. All right, guys, and we will stop there. And tomorrow we will definitely be finishing step 5. Well, while this is fresh in the 12 and 12, I'll never forget when I confided. Actually, I've done a couple of 5th steps, and both parties that I did these 5th steps with, they said the same thing, and they didn't communicate with each other afterwards or beforehand, but they both said the same thing. They said, "Thank you so much for trusting me." And both of them said it in their own way, that I was helping them more than they were helping me. And I thought that was just, a really humble saying, but I didn't really actually believe what they were saying. Like, what? How's that possible? But then when I got to work with others a little bit later on, I completely understood what they were saying. That by working with another alcoholic and helping another alcoholic, it helps me stay sober. So, truthfully, even though I'm there to help them, it's helping me twofold. It's incredible how this program works for me, and it's worked for a few others in my circle that I've seen. It's incredible. I don't know. Is it odd or is it God? We shall see. And going back to the family aspect real quick in the Big Book, just like the Big Book says, it's an adjustment period for a family when the drinking participant in the family returns to his or her family. It's tough for the ones who've been carrying the ball for so long. They're not used to dad or mom being assertive and being an active participant in their family. And I've heard many horror stories where marriages actually ended after sobriety or during sobriety because of that, that difficult transition. Thankfully, from my own experience, my marriage, we've actually grown closer thanks to sobriety. And I have to give all credit to my higher power and to my better half because when I was early in my recovery and I was doing a lot of work, especially when I was doing my inventory and the 5th step and everything else, my wife, she could have thrown a lot of stuff up in my face. She could have blamed me for all the problems that had happened. And honestly, I probably caused most of them, if not all of them. But instead, she kind of did her own introspective. She put in her own work and worked on herself. And we both kind of went through our own recovery together. Turned out to be one of the most beautiful things we could have done because now we communicate much, much better. And we have a far greater appreciation for each other and understand each other's personalities and love languages, all that stuff. So I am so grateful that God was able to restore our marriage and continues to do so daily. I've got to do my part. I've certainly got to do my part every single day. And I'm more than willing to do that. It feels really good to do that. And this is part of it right here. I am so grateful that you decided to join me in this Lifeboat of Recovery today, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.